You're listening to The Wells Report, which will return in 1 minute. The Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south, coast to coast, around the world, this is the Wells Report. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We de-propagandize the mainstream media. We do make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion, both yours and mine. So let's share those opinions. Let's compare. Let's debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. It's early. And yeah, I have a brace on my wrist. My dog tried to dislocate my wrist and came dang near close to doing it. I thought I was broken. But I went down to a Care Now and got it x-rayed. It's not broken, but it sure feels like it. Jeez Louise, bees knees, trees fleas. Ow. It hurts. It absolutely hurts. So we're a little early this morning, and the reason is because I've got some life things going on, and I need to be someplace very important, and so so I got to go do that. But that being said, time for the news, and that's what we do on this broadcast. What is in the news? Obviously, what's in the news is the Democrat National Convention. It's going on in Chicago. And last night, the heavyweights showed up, with due respect to President Biden, who was pushed into the near wee hours of the morning for his farewell speech, which was, as I said yesterday, I just thought that was mean. I thought that showed an amazing disrespect for both President Biden and the presidency itself, and it was unfortunate. And there are people pushing back, et cetera, but you know what? What we have not seen in this Democrat National Convention is the same kind of purposeful, well-run, straightforward, professional presentation of issues. Haven't seen that quite yet. Now, there's more time in this. The entire convention is over on Thursday night. That's tomorrow night. And so there's still time, but I'm waiting for something beyond essentially subjective ideologies that really don't point to any issues that people are actually going to be voting on, or I think they will be voting on a little bit later on. But let's talk about what happened last night. These are the takeaways from CNN. Barack and Michelle Obama electrified the Democrat National Convention. That happened last night, delivering back-to-back speeches that eviscerated Donald Trump and urged Americans to reject the Republican nominee once and for all. Aside from the obvious bias, electrified is a subjective term. And once again, the Democrats are not talking about political issues. They're talking about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not the issue. Donald Trump is not the issue. There will be some people who will vote or not vote for Donald Trump, or will vote or not vote for Kamala Harris based on these non-issues oriented statements, beliefs, momentum, what have you. But I believe the vast majority of Americans still want to know exactly what both these parties want to do. And frankly, Donald Trump is not the issue. The economy is. The border is. There are a lot of things that are serious issues that have to be addressed. The former First Lady, in one of the most memorable speeches in convention history, called the Democrats to drop the Goldilocks complex and work hard to elect Vice President Kamala Harris. We cannot indulge our anxieties about whether this country will elect somebody like Kamala instead of doing everything we can to get someone like Kamala elected. Then the former president, in a speech that evoked memories of his emergence into the political consciousness of America and his own winning campaigns, said the vast majority of us do not want to live in a country that is bitter and divided. We don't need 4 more years of bluster and bumbling and chaos. We've seen that movie before. We all know that the sequel is usually worse. That was a strange statement. Barack Obama was elected twice by the American people. Was his sequel usually worse? Well, that's up to you to decide, but that was an interesting statement by the former president. Why would he say that? I mean, the American people made it abundantly clear that not only did they want President Obama to be the president, but they reelected him. And so was that sequel worse? Don't know about that. But once again, that's up for you to decide, not for me. Their speeches closed tonight where Democrats had sought to introduce Harris in more personal terms to America, who are now only learning about the vice president a month after she ascended to the top of the party's 2024 ticket. Second gentleman Doug Emhoff told the story of their relationship and why his children call the vice president Mamala. Maryland Senate candidate Angela Brooks also explained how Harris came to be someone she considered a friend or a mentor. It set the stage for 2 closing nights of the convention. Tonight, when the party's vice presidential nominee, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, will take the stage. And tomorrow night, when VP Harris will close the gathering as a final sprint to election and election day begins. Here are the key takeaways according to CNN. 20 years after Barack Obama, then a state senator, burst onto the political scene with his 2004 DNC speech, he delivered its bookend. The convention has always been pretty good to kids with funny names who believe in a country where everything is possible. The 44th president's remarks were filled with references to his own campaigns, including familiar calls and responses, the "Yes, we can" chants so omnipresent at Obama rallies, now turning into "Yes, she can." It's no wonder why Obama remains popular with American voters, and so much so that Trump now passes on opportunities for confrontation with the former president. In fact, President Trump says that he likes and respects President Obama. More about that coming up a little bit later on. He told CNN's Kristen Holmes that while he has differences with Obama on trade policy, I happen to like him. I respect him. I respect his wife. Obama took swings at Trump, to be sure, trying to deflate the figure that has so dominated American politics since Obama left the stage. Here's a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down his golden escalator 9 years ago. They're the childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, the weird obsession with crowd sizes. But he also urged Democrats not to direct similar rancor at regular Americans. If a parent or grandparent occasionally says something that makes us cringe, we don't automatically assume they're bad people. We recognize that the world is moving fast, that they need time and maybe a little encouragement to catch up. Our fellow citizens deserve the same grace. We hope they'll extend to us. That's how we can build a true democratic majority, one that can get things done. Few people have had much of a hold on the hearts and minds of the Democrat base as Michelle Obama, who was greeted with one of the loudest, longest rounds of applause as she took the stage in her hometown last night. She said hope is making a comeback, echoing the themes of her husband's 2008 presidential run. The former First Lady spoke to the optimism that Harris created since she became the Democrat nominee and described her as the best choice to lead the nation based on both her experience and her character. She said this, quote, "My girl Kamala Harris is more than ready for this moment. She is one of the most qualified people ever to seek the office of presidency. She is one of the most dignified." The key role Michelle Obama played last night was to urge the audience to keep their eyes on the prize. Obama told Democrats to avoid the foolishness of waiting to be asked to act and make a personal appeal for everyone to do something between now and Election Day. Yes, Kamala and Tim are doing great now. We're loving it. They pack arenas across the country. Folks are energized. We're feeling good. But remember, there are still many people who are desperate for a different outcome. She laid out the stakes, the challenges facing Harris as a black woman, seeking higher office in starker terms than any other convention speaker to date. Obama alluded to the years Trump spent spreading false racist birther conspiracy theories against her husband. We know folks are going to do everything they can to distort her truth. My husband and I sadly know a little something about this. You'll hear her say that coming up a little bit later on. Doug Emhoff, the second gentleman, also sought to show Americans a personal side of his wife, telling stories about how they met and how she became Mamala. Emhoff, an attorney who left his law firm after Harris was elected vice president, stepped into the role he's seeking as America's dad, one who has a group chat with boyhood friends and fantasy football league team members. The team name, by the way, is Nirvana. Yes, after the band, he said. He said he'd gotten her phone number and called at 8:30 a.m. He left a rambling voicemail that he instantly regretted. Harris saved the email or the voicemail. She makes me listen to it every anniversary. She said, he said, she called back. The two talked and laughed for an hour. You know the laugh. I love that laugh. Okay. He may love the laugh, but what about others? Let's see. GOP speakers, Republicans showed up to speak for Harris. Democrats were not the only ones willing to appeal to their party. Throughout the night, the DNC featured former Republicans making the case for independents and Trump critics to vote for Harris. One of the primetime speaking slots went to Mayor John Giles of Mesa, Arizona, a self-declared lifelong Republican who said the Biden-Harris administration had delivered insults for his conservative community. I have an urgent message for the majority of Americans who are like me or in the political middle. John McCain's Republican Party is gone. We don't know a damn thing to what's been left behind, so let's turn the page. Let's put the country first. Let's see. Giles' speech capped off a series of appearances by Republicans or people who had left the party. In a short video, 3 former Trump voters said they believe the former president didn't respect the Constitution and criticized his felony convictions. On stage, Kyle Sweetser, a Nikki Haley supporter who plans to vote for Harris, said that he voted for Trump 3 times before growing concerned about his tariff policies. Costs for construction workers like me were starting to soar. I realized that Trump was not for me. Since his 2016 presidential campaign, Vermont independent Bernie Sanders has maintained a strong following among young and progressive voters, the same voters Harris will need in November. He used his remarks to endorse what the Biden administration has accomplished over the past 3.5 years, while also laying out a list of proposals for the next Democrat administration: campaign finance reform, protection for unions, improving healthcare access, lowering drug costs, and improving public education. Let's be clear, this is not a radical agenda, but let me tell you what a radical agenda is, and that's Trump's Project 2025. Once again, the Democrat Party focused on Trump and Project 2025, which is not a Trump product. Agenda 47 is. And while last week USA Today started actually reporting on Agenda 27, or make that 47, Agenda 47, the Democrat Party is still trying to demonize Project 2025. Ooh, it's a horrible thing, and all this kind of stuff. It's not a Trump product. If you want to, and this gets back to the issues. This gets back to the issues. Deal with Agenda 47. Agenda 47 is the actual Trump platform. Deal with those issues. Why don't they? Maybe it's because they can't. Maybe it's because those issues bring up things that they don't have a defense for. And so Project 2025 is the shiny object that they hope people will pay attention to as they demonize it and try to cast it in some sort of sinister light. It's a conservative plan to reduce the size of government. Follow the Constitution. It can't be done. It'll kill us all. Okay. Yeah, whatever. Just everybody do yourselves a favor. Go to Agenda 47, read it. If you think it sucks, fine. If you don't think it sucks, also fine. But don't be distracted by a mainstream media and a political party that's trying to move you a different direction, trying to use misdirection, in fact, to try to dissuade you from voting for the most horrible person in the history of the human endeavor, which, of course, is Donald Trump. This is the Wells Report. I said that sarcastically. Back in a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Good morning. This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service. Hey, I got a favor to ask of you. Guess what? As of the latest count, I think I have 4,956 followers on X. And that's really cool. And by the way, we're broadcasting live on X right this very moment. If you're watching, thanks very much for joining us on this platform. But I have 4,956 followers. Can we go ahead and push that over 5 grand? If you have not followed the Wells Report, please do so. I would sincerely appreciate it. I mean, I'm just that close to 5,000. I don't know whether anything changes once you get 5,000 followers, but I sure would like to find out. So if you got a moment, that would be cool. Also, If you find value in this broadcast, subscribe to it on any other platform you might be watching it on, and pass it along to your friends. Hit the notification buttons. Give us thumbs ups. Do all that kind of stuff. It would really help us immeasurably. A 70-year-old retired emergency room physician was bicycling along an empty street near a Gaza war protest when he was found by Homeland Security officers, and they arrested him for trespassing. Charles Steinbrugge of Chicago's Lakeview neighborhood wanted to check out the demonstrations near the United Center where the Democrats were gathering this week for their national convention. Steinbrugge is a 20-year-old Army veteran who considers himself politically moderate and is agnostic on the Israeli-Hamas war. He was not a protester. He was just a curious onlooker. He biked down the deserted street away from an area police had cordoned off. The officer approached him. He was in a restricted area and promptly slapped him in handcuffs. It was a disaster. It was a fiasco. They were just morons. They were trying to be tough guys. They had nothing else to do because there was nothing going on in that area. Steinbrugge said he spent nearly 12 hours in 2 different freezing jails before the police released him. He was still wearing what he called their dorky biking shorts, or called his dorky biking shorts, and cycling shoes when he was released at 4 a.m. on Tuesday morning. A misdemeanor trespassing charge and a citation were pending, this according to Chicago police. When Steinbrugge left home Monday afternoon, he figured he'd bike about 20 minutes to the protest, look around, continue on his usual circuit along the lakefront, which he makes 4 or 5 times a week. He passed through an opening in the security perimeter on North Washington Boulevard, through which reporters, photographers, pedestrians were also passing without issue. He biked toward a group of officers assembling near the end of the street, curious as to what they were doing. He said he saw no signs it was restricted, not aware of any orders to stay out of the area. It looked like that's where you're supposed to go, said Steinbrugge of the opening in the fence. It appeared they had one passageway to get from one street to the next, so that's what I thought it was. Steinbrugge, who says he has no criminal record, told the Homeland Security officers he was a retired Army doctor, did not save him from arrest. He called the response overzealous, disproportionate. They were looking for people to justify their existence. He could have just told me to turn around and go back. He could have even escorted me. That's true. So there's an opening in the fence, huh? And people were going through, huh? And then he went through on his bicycle and he got arrested, huh? See? If only Dr. Steinbrugge had been an illegal migrant, then nobody would have said anything. They would have probably given him a pass into the DNC. I mean, would they have vetted him first? No, because he would have been an illegal migrant. They probably would have given him a voucher card, something to get a bite to eat. Maybe give him a little cot somewhere in the convention center. That's what I'm thinking. But nope. He's an American citizen. So therefore he must be arrested. And he was. All right, guys. Every now and then you got to think from here up is more important than flashing your shiny hardware and arresting guys on bikes. Just saying. And dorky biking shorts? Yeah, they are. Especially if you don't have the legs of a good biker. I'm telling you, they look awful. This is the Wells Report. Back with more in just a moment.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report on early this morning. I've got something I've got to do later on this afternoon, so I thought I'd do the broadcast a little bit early. Thanks very much for waking up with me on that early hour. I sincerely appreciate it. So, my wife is a real Democrat. She's not a progressive. She's a Democrat. And when we were discovering each other. Our politics never became a problem for us because we just dealt with them the same way we deal with everything else, with respect, love, caring, etc., and listening to each other. So I found it kind of at odds one time when I was watching Newt Gingrich speaking on one of the television channels. I can't remember which one it was. It was either Fox or CNN. I watched both. And she got up disgustedly and walked away. And I said, hang on a second. Hang on. Why don't you listen to what he says? Why don't you just listen to what he says? Don't just throw him away out of hand. Just listen to what he has to say. And she did. And she understood what I was trying to get across, which was just because you don't agree with somebody doesn't mean you shouldn't pay attention to them. Especially when you believe they're honestly discussing what they believe. To that end, we have two speeches by two very influential, even superstars of the United States of America. We have two speeches that we're going to play parts of, just small parts of them. One is Michelle Obama. One is President Barack Obama. And you should listen to these words. Do I agree with them politically? No. Do I believe that they're taking us down a socialist road? Yes. But you still need to pay attention to what they're saying. At least as far as I'm concerned, that's just my opinion. You can say, and do whatever. But these two speeches were, even though CNN in a biased way called them electrifying, they were very, very good. And here are a couple of things that I think you should probably spend a little bit of time listening to, and that's why I'm doing it, because it's kind of important. Michelle Obama, the former First Lady, one of the most popular figures in the Democrat Party, delivered one of the National Convention's most emphatic takedowns of former President Donald Trump and turned one of his most controversial campaign lines against him. And you'll discover that for yourself here in just a couple of seconds. Let's take a look at a couple of quick excerpts from Michelle Obama's speech last night before the Democrat National Convention.
Of the two major candidates in this race, only Kamala Harris truly understands the unseen labor and unwavering commitment that has always made America great. Now, unfortunately, we know what comes next. We know folks are going to do everything they can to distort her truth. My husband and I sadly know a little something about this. For years, Donald Trump did everything in his power to try to make people fear us. See, his limited, narrow view of the world made him feel threatened by the existence of two hardworking, highly educated, successful people who happen to be Black. I want to know who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those Black jobs. Look, it's his same old con. His same old con. Doubling down on ugly, misogynistic, racist lies as a substitute for real ideas and solutions that will actually make people's lives better. Look, because cutting our health care, taking away our freedom to control our bodies, the freedom to become a mother through IVF like I did, those things are not going to improve the health outcomes of our wives, mothers, and daughters. Shutting down the Department of Education, banning our books, none of that will prepare our kids for the future. Demonizing our children for being who they are and loving who they love. Look, that doesn't make anybody's life better. Instead, it only makes us small. And let me tell you this, going small is never the answer. Going small is the opposite of what we teach our kids. Going small is petty, it's unhealthy, and quite frankly, it's unpresidential.
All right, so that's Michelle Obama. And, you know, there are a couple of things there that I want to bring up. First of all, I didn't know she had Sasha and Malia through IVF. I didn't know that. And that was a nice thing for me to learn. It adds another dynamic to Michelle Obama. Also, it's inescapable when you start thinking about the fact that before Kamala Harris was chosen to be the Democrat frontrunner, the standard bearer, the presidential nominee, a lot of people were wondering whether or not whether Michelle Obama would step into that role. And I have to ask this question. I got to put this out there. Who do you think is a better candidate? Michelle Obama or Kamala Harris? 817-379-2172. Oops. I got two things going. Okay. 817-379-2172. Who's a better candidate? Michelle Obama or Kamala Harris? Likewise, the former president of the United States, Barack Obama, also took the stage. And I don't care what you think of President Obama's politics. The guy is a political superstar, and he proved it again last night. Here is part of his speech from the DNC discussing his former vice president, Joe Biden.
It's been 16 years since I had the honor of accepting this party's nomination for president. And I know that's hard to believe because I have not aged a bit. But it's true. And looking back, I can say without question that my first big decision as your nominee turned out to be one of my best. And that was asking Joe Biden to serve by my side as vice president. Other than some common Irish blood, Joe and I come from different backgrounds, but we became brothers. And as we worked together for 8, sometimes pretty tough years, what I came to admire most about Joe wasn't just his smarts, his experience. It was his empathy and his decency and his hard-earned resilience, his unshakable belief that everyone in this country deserves a fair shot. And over the last 4 years, those are the values America has needed most. At a time when millions of our fellow citizens were sick and dying, we needed a leader with the character to put politics aside and do what was right. At a time when our economy was reeling, we needed a leader with the determination to drive what would become the world's strongest recovery. 15 million jobs, higher wages, lower healthcare costs. At a time when the other party had turned into a cult of personality, we needed a leader who was steady and brought people together and was selfless enough to do the rarest thing there is in politics, putting his own ambition aside for the sake of the country. History will remember Joe Biden as an outstanding president who defended democracy at a moment of great danger. And I am proud to call him my president, but I am even prouder to call him my friend.
That was President Obama last night at the DNC, and extolling the virtues of a guy that many people say he ran off the road and so on, and was not overly effusive in his description of Joe Biden, saying he had an outstanding president. Well, he had one term. And I suspect that something that I said years ago, when it came to Joe Biden being reelected, there were serious problems. Serious problem number one: Joe Biden was elected with 81 million votes. How many votes do you suppose that Joe Biden would have gotten had he run for reelection? Not 81 million. That's a fact. That's problem number one. Problem number two is that Joe Biden is, okay, you can say that he's a steady guy. After a 50-year career in American politics, you can say that, yeah, he's a known quantity. But none of what we saw, or at least very little of what we saw during the entire Biden administration, I think, came from Biden. So who's running the presidency? Indeed, who will be running the presidency in the future? Every president has advisors. Everybody has, there's an entire room full of them. It's called the presidential cabinet. So all of these things happen. But who's writing out, I keep saying this, who is writing out the note cards? Who's writing the teleprompter copy? Now, there was someone, let's see, Anoy Guzman said that President Obama had great speechwriters. True. As a matter of fact, some of them wrote speeches for John F. Kennedy. Same people. And yes, the rhetoric is unmistakably good. And so I'm not talking about speeches. I'm talking about just exactly what policies are being talked about. And moreover, what policies are not being talked about. Who's writing all that copy? Is it a speechwriter trying to put in beautiful, eloquent terms what a president or a presidential candidate believes and wants to enact? Or are we seeing somebody who is essentially told to read what's written? Period. Price gauging. That was a typographical error on a teleprompter that Kamala Harris read verbatim. Now, was that just a simple mistake? Certainly the typo was. But what if she'd been told to just read the words and stick to them? Now, make no mistake, there are some riffs and some off-the-cuff remarks that I wish President Trump would not make. But you don't have any doubt who's running the show. Do you know who is running the Biden administration, and by implication and by association, the Kamala Harris campaign? Do you have any idea? 817-379-2172. Or does it matter? There's a single word from one of our watchers today. Puppets. Puppets. I also brought that up over a year ago. We have, in my view, a guy who is being told what to say, when to say it, and who to ask of it. And the person behind that person would do the same thing, insofar as there are certain things that I'm just not seeing in Kamala Harris as the leader of a nation that is at the forefront of the free world, if not the entire world. Now, that's not a slam on anything aside from the fact of what Martin Luther King so eloquently described as the contents of her character. I don't care about her gender. I don't care about her racial background. packaging and making that a part of your decision making is primitive and it's ridiculous. But with every day that passes, that Kamala Harris doesn't step up and start talking about the main issues of the day, I wonder more and more and more as to whether or not she can talk about the main issues of the day. That needs to change. In my humble opinion, what's yours? Give me a call. This is the Wells Report.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Telephone number 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Regardless of your politics, there is a basic understanding of each party's positions in the United States, and that's the essential middle, the people that sort of stand where they believe. There are people on other fringes that believe what the party believes. There are people on the fringes. There are people like the Republicans who are speaking at the DNC, and they're not really Republicans as much as they're essential opportunists more than anything. Adam Kinzinger, the very perfect example of that. And then there are people on the outer edge, outer fringe, that distort the perception of what's happening with the main part of the party. And Democrats are dealing with one of those situations. There are a couple of them, actually. The Republicans have them too, but the one that's going on at the DNC right now is horrifying. Democrats are throwing what Fox News, in a biased piece, calls abortion palooza in Chicago. They are degrading human life and women for that matter. It's absolutely disgusting, this continued celebration of abortion. Is that quote from some Republican right-wing crazy person? No. It's from the executive director of Democrats for Life America, Kristen Day. She is appalled that Planned Parenthood is offering free abortions inside a mobile health clinic parked in Chicago during the convention. Pro-abortion activists also marched through the streets of Chicago ahead of the convention. I think this convention is going to be abortion palooza. In response to them providing abortions, we would provide actual support for women in need. So we started a diaper drive. Yeah. Planned Parenthood, this is what they do. They do abortions. They do not support pregnant women. And this just continues to prove that that's their main focus. All they care about is abortion. In point of fact, that's not true. They also care about vasectomies. Yeah, vasectomies. So this same van that's out there doing abortions is also doing vasectomies. And for those people that have real problems with the Democrat Party and real problems with Planned Parenthood, real deep issues like pro-life Democrats, and there are plenty of them, this presents a real problem. It really does. It's repugnant. Revulsion is what I get out of this. And so here we are dealing with what is supposed to be a way for a party to pick their leaders and declare their positions and so on and so on. And out in the parking lot, there's a Planned Parenthood van doing abortions and vasectomies. And this puts a white-hot spotlight on the divisions in the Democrat Party. And they are huge and they are stark. The progressive wing of the Democrat Party that sees nothing but their sociopathic ideology. The regular Democrats that are looking at those people and saying, what are they thinking? And then we have this. And for those people that have real problems with this, you can look at it one way that might be positive. And what would that be, John David? So glad you asked. What these people are doing is they are reducing their numbers. People who are adherents to this Planned Parenthood ideology are essentially taking themselves out of the gene pool. I'm fond of saying nothing in the universe is without balance. And for those people that are revulsed by all of this, just keep in mind that if Planned Parenthood continues to have its way, there won't be any of them left. Right? I mean, Planned Parenthood. Good heavens. How many people would be on the planet if it wasn't for Planned Parenthood? There are statistics. They're a few years old because once the statistics became public, they stopped publishing them. And that is 55 million. 55 million abortions that were performed in America's black communities. 55 million. We are short something over 50 million black people in the United States of America because of Planned Parenthood. And there was also something else. Okay, there was also something else that Michelle Obama said. She said on one hand that she wanted voters to turn away from what she described as a Republican push to stop abortion in America. Because she wants women to have control of their own bodies. And in the same speech, she talked about government-run health care. Well, what are you going to do when a government doctor tells you to do something with your body? That's coming, you know. That's going to happen. Just like it happens in the National Health Service in England. There are judges and politicians telling people who are seeing their doctors what they will and won't do. So, once again, control your bodies, huh? I'm curious about that. This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service. We've got another hour to go. There are things that have been said by J.D. Vance and other things. Also, some fact checks coming up on the Wells Report.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship.
Call 877-655-6870. That's 877-655-6870. 877-655-6870.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Busy. This is the Wells Report. Hi, my name is John David Wells. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We depropagandize the mainstream media. Yes, we do make commentary, but unlike anybody else that does this job, I differentiate between news and commentary on this broadcast. You know when I'm just telling you what I think, which is not the news. It's my opinion. You've got one, so they're both equally valuable, so let's share them, shall we? News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. So, a lot of people were saying, now wait just a darn minute. Every time Donald Trump says something, there is a legion of fact checkers out there, and they say, hey, these are the facts. Most of them are differences of opinion, as opposed to actual mistruths or whatever you want to call it. But that's why I'm here, so I can differentiate between differences of opinion when it comes to fact checking and things that don't. Okay, so Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, which is a guy that I am repulsed by. Chuck Schumer is a guy I'm repulsed by. Got to do it over here. That's an opinion. Spoke last night at the DNC. I have mercifully not given you any of his speech because I am a merciful man. Okay? I know. You just said, hey, wait a minute, you should listen to these people. True. But I also said, if you can't, you can't. When it comes to Chuck Schumer, I can't. The guy is a cynical political sociopath, and he makes my skin crawl. Okay? It's just the way it is. Now, when he says something important and it's news, of course, I will put it up. But this wasn't. And so I made the editorial decision, and people are saying, you are a hypocrite. Well, no, I'm not. Except when it comes to Chuck Schumer, maybe. I don't know. You figure it out. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said this: Senate Republicans pretend to care about middle-class families, but they voted no on expanding the child tax credit. And J.D. Vance didn't even show up to vote. The Associated Press is doing fact-checking, and they say this: J.D. Vance did skip an August vote on a bill to expand the child tax credit and restore tax breaks for businesses. The bill failed to advance in the Senate as Republicans largely opposed the measure, arguing that they would be in a position to get a better deal next year, according to the Associated Press from last year. There is more to the story. Vance also said he would support expanding the child tax credit, currently at $2,000 to $5,000. He said the Senate vote was a show vote when bills are designed to fail but allow parties the opportunity to continue the nonstop food fight. Okay, that's good. See, The Associated Press doing something good. Schumer talked about Trump's plan to create tariffs. He wants to impose what is, in effect, a national sales tax on everyday products and basic necessities that we import from other countries. It will mean higher prices on just about every one of your daily needs. Donald Trump's plan would cost a typical family $3,900 a year. AP says this. Here are the facts. Trump proposed imposing a tariff of anywhere from 10 to 20% on all imports and up to 60% imports on goods from China. Economists do expect it would raise prices on many goods. The Tax Policy Center, a joint project of the Urban Institute and the Brookings Institution, estimates it would reduce average incomes in the top 60% of earners by 1.8%. The Center for American Project Action Fund, a progressive advocacy group, calculated the higher tariffs would cost households an extra $3,900 a year. Now, this is what's going on. AP correctly points out that President Trump used the tariff revenue to cut other taxes, and that's what he did. So it was more than a zero-sum game. There's also something else about tariffs. The people working in China work for about $2 an hour. $2. Their economy is much different from when it comes from the government and the actual workers. The government controls prices in that country. Therefore, they can just, by executive fiat, say, well, prices are this and that and such and so, and they force producers to produce, and they allow lower pricing for people making $2 an hour. When they export those goods, there's a huge amount of money to be made because the actual price of putting those goods together is very low. That is not something that an American worker can deal with. Chuck Schumer complaining about tariffs, and yet he wants a minimum wage of $15 an hour or a minimum wage to be a living wage. Well, that doesn't work. You can't have two of the same things. The simple case of the matter is that tariffs level the playing field between the different views of economic execution, if you will. I mean, American workers that are, let's just say, okay, they're making $15 an hour flipping burgers at McDonald's. They're not going to be able to compete with somebody making $2 an hour flipping those same burgers from McDonald's in China, in Beijing. If suddenly you could have a burger for $3 less, and by the way, McDonald's hamburgers are expensive these days. Anyway, if you get that same burger $3 less, then all you have to do is rationalize, okay, it's being made by somebody making $2 an hour. And once again, there's all kinds of hypocrisy on this because the Democrats talk about how great union labor is. Well, union labor gets undercut by people from China every day unless those tariffs are in place. So once again, fact-checking is a good thing, and AP is actually doing a pretty good job on this. Trump's changing views on the Affordable Care Act. This one gets into the weeds a little bit. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance want to dismantle our healthcare system, so says New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. Repeal the Affordable Care Act and limit protections for pre-existing conditions. The facts. Donald Trump has, yes, promised to replace the former President Barack Obama's healthcare law with a plan of his own. For example, 3 years after a Congress fully controlled by Republicans failed to repeal Obamacare, Trump urged the Supreme Court to overturn it. And there are good reasons for that. More recently, the Republican presidential nominee threatened to reopen the contentious fight. The cost of Obamacare is out of control. Plus, it's not good health care. I'm seriously looking at alternatives. We had a couple of Republican senators who campaigned for 6 years against it and then raised their hands not to terminate it. It was a low point for the Republican Party. We should never give up. He did back off a potential repeal. This is Donald Trump. He said in a video posted to Truth Social, he's not running to replace the ACA. He tends to make it better, stronger, and far less expensive. Okay, good. We got facts, but what does that mean? I'm not a guy that believes the government should have anything to do with healthcare, and I have 19 COVID reasons or COVID-19 reasons to believe that that's valid. I mean, I'm just saying. Another misinterpretation of the bleach comment. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker last night talked about, and well, Donald told us to inject bleach. The facts. The claim was also made on the first day of the Democrat National Convention by Robert Garcia, the representative of California. It's an overstatement. Trump actually asked whether it would be impossible to inject disinfectant into lungs. When I see a disinfectant where it knocks it out in 1 minute, is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you can see it gets in the lungs and does a tremendous number on the lungs. So it would be interesting to check that. So that you're also going to have to use medical doctors, but it sounds interesting to me. So we'll see, but the whole concept of the light, the way it kills in 1 minute, is pretty powerful. So it wasn't bleach. He was talking about ultraviolet light, which would fry the inside of your lungs. But he does have a point. Is there a way to use an inhaler, for example, to do in a virus without doing in your lungs? And once again, and this is where Donald Trump gets into trouble. This is where he gives ammunition to his political enemies. When he says something like this, that can indeed be willfully twisted and misinterpreted and take on a life of its own. This was years and years ago. It's been debunked, even by Snopes. Snopes debunked this. And why is J.B. Pritzker putting it up? Well, because he doesn't want to talk about the border, doesn't want to talk about 250,000 Americans killed by fentanyl, doesn't want to talk about the economy, doesn't want to talk about the murder rate in his state. Is that why? I don't know. That's up to you. Once again, I'm not going to say anything. But anyway, good job on the facts and what they're talking about when it comes to fact checking the Democrat National Convention. Good for them. So, moving on to J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance has been, like the rest of us, looking at these polls that suddenly show Kamala Harris out in front of Donald Trump without any kind of anything except things like joy. Yeah, everybody's so joyful. Joy is not a campaign issue in the 2024 election. Okay? The economy is. The border is. All of these things are. Hello? But no, Kamala Harris has not had to actually put out any kind of policy statements. And the one that she did put out, the one on the economy, got its butt kicked by everybody across the political spectrum. Left, right, center, everybody. And this is the problem. This is the problem she's going to have to face. And it's not going anywhere. There was also another interesting observation on X the other day. So in all of these basic categories, economy, border, national security, energy, all these things, Donald Trump is leading mostly in double digits over Kamala Harris on all those issues. Why is it that when you're just talking about the beauty contest aspect of polling, why is it that she leads? Why is that? Is it because she's that much more beautiful? No, it's because they're two different kinds of polling. This is the dichotomy that I keep pointing out. I want Kamala Harris to talk about the issues. I do want her to talk about energy. I do want her to talk about the border. I do want her to talk about the economy. I do want her to talk about all these things. And on all of those things, Donald Trump leads her in most cases by double digits. So again, how does he lose national likely voter polls as to who they're going to vote for? Well, there's something wrong with the polling. And J.D. Vance has pointed that out as well. And he says he doesn't believe them. I'll talk more about that coming up in just a couple of moments. So do you believe the polling? You can. By all means, if you believe the polling, give me a call. 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. If you don't believe the polling, call me anyway. Call me the same way. 817-379-2172. Tell me why you don't believe the polling. I'm interested. I'm trying to figure out, once again, how is Kamala Harris evading reality and indeed defying gravity on these particular issues that will determine this election one way or another? How is she able to defy gravity on this? And how long will she be able to do it? And yeah, this is the convention week for the Democrat Party, and there's going to be all kinds of euphoria and all of that. And that's fine, because it happened last week or a couple of weeks ago with the Republicans. Back in a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to Low Cost Airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. GOP vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance dismissed recent polling that shows that Vice President Kamala Harris is edging ahead of former President Trump, contending the media uses fake polls. That's interesting, don't you think? So, excuse me, Fox News Sunday had J.D. Vance over the weekend and asked him about this, talking about polling and what he thinks about it. And I thought you'd like to see it here on the Wells Report for Wednesday morning.
How does that not line up then with another poll we got out this morning, Washington Post, ABC? They're giving the vice president nationally a 4 to 5 point lead. Those are new numbers. So if you think the momentum is not swinging or your internal polls are suggesting differently, every other poll that's been released has shown great momentum in her direction.
You know, Shannon, I think there are a lot of polls that actually show her stagnating and leveling off. Of course, ABC Washington Post was a wildly inaccurate pollster in the summer of 2020. And look, if you see the numbers that we're seeing and you actually talk to the American people, I feel extremely confident that we're going to be in the right place come November. We can't worry about polls. We have to run through the finish line and encourage everybody to get out there and vote. But our message is going to be very simple. If you want to get back to the peace and prosperity, the rising take-home pay, Donald Trump delivered it once and he can do it again. If you want to double down on the failed policies that have delivered higher food prices and higher housing prices, well, Kamala Harris has been vice president for 3.5 years, and I guarantee she's going to make the problem worse if the American people give her a promotion.
So
the thing we have to remember, one final point, let me just say one final point on this, Shannon, because I think it's important. Consistently, what you've seen in 2016 and 2020 is that the media uses fake polls to drive down Republican turnout and to create dissension and conflict with Republican voters. I'm telling you, every single person who's watching this, the Trump campaign is in a very, very good spot. We're going to win this race. We just have to run through the finish line.
So what do you think? You think he's right? You think these polls are indeed fake? So polls aren't always accurate, but they certainly are not fake, says Axios. Nearly every major pollster has shown Harris surging, though the race remains very close in key swing states. But what are these polls actually measuring? Popularity? Well, okay. Let's talk about the polls that measure various and specific issue questions. Vice President Kamala Harris holds a 4-point lead over former President Trump in a head-to-head matchup among registered voters, according to a new Washington Post, ABC News Ipsos poll. Among likely voters, she holds a 6-point lead, 51 to 45%. How? I'm serious. Somebody tell me how. If you are a Kamala Harris supporter, tell me why. Why are you a Kamala Harris supporter? What is driving your voting decision? Give me a reason to change my voting decision. Not that I've made one, but you get the idea. Tell me one reason why, or several reasons why, you're voting for Kamala Harris. Give me several reasons, or just one, as to why you think other people should vote for Kamala Harris. 817-379-2172. I'm not talking about a feeling. I'm not talking about intuition so much. I'm asking, what are hard, cold reasons why you're voting for Kamala Harris? This is the Wells Report. John David Wells with you. If you find value in this broadcast, and I sure hope you do, please share it with your friends. Please do. Subscribe to it. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to get to 5,000 followers on X. I've got I haven't checked recently, but I've got like 4,946 people that follow me every day. I'd like to get that over 5,000. I don't know whether it'll matter, but I sure would like to find out for myself. Also, by the way, so subscribe to the broadcast, like the notification button so you know when we're on the air, and don't forget to give us thumbs ups. Those help. We appreciate it. And if you want to support the show financially, go to patreon.com/The Wells Report, patreon.com/The Wells Report. Give us a couple of bucks every day. Not every day, every month. That would help us out too. This is the
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. John David Wells at your service, and I know what people are thinking. Hey, wait a minute. You normally are on from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. Central Time in the United States. Yes. Yes, I normally am. but I have something I've got to do later today, so I decided to do the Wells Report between 8 and 10. I have a whole list of times when I can do this broadcast. That's why we want you to like the notification button so you know when we're on the air. Okay? I'll go to X, and I'll go to Facebook, and I'll put up, hey, I'm going to be on at 8 o'clock this morning. I did that this morning, and still haven't figured out how to do that with Patreon or Rumble or Twitch. Can't figure out how to communicate with everybody on that, but sooner or later, I will figure it out. Just like the mainstream media when it comes to actually covering the news, occasionally they figure it out. And there is great value in a broadcast like this one, where news is at the forefront, and then analysis and interpretation of the news, even comment, goes along with it. But the people doing that, the people doing the analysis, people who are doing the commentating and the opinion, they have to have the ethics to do it honestly. And sometimes you see it, and sometimes you don't. On this broadcast, I believe you see it far more often than not. And there's a reason. Because I'm tired of being BS'd on. I'm tired of listening to people lie to my face. Drives me crazy. And I just won't have it. And I certainly won't do it. So every now and then, even in this polarized mainstream media that has abandoned truth and chosen sides, you occasionally find real journalism and real analysis. And strangely enough, that happened on CNN. It happened yesterday. And it had to do with polling and momentum and Kamala Harris and J.D. Vance. Check out this superb piece of journalism and commentary on CNN from yesterday. Check it out.
Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance. He was in Pennsylvania as we see Vance and Trump bracketing this ticket here, and he was addressing Vice President Harris's momentum. Here's what he said.
Well, I don't think that we have to blunt her momentum. I think we just have to tell the truth to the American people. I mean, our message is really simple, that Donald Trump delivered peace and prosperity. There was peace all over the world. He delivered rising take-home pay for American workers. And Kamala Harris's administration, which is now 1,300 days and running, has delivered higher prices, unaffordable housing, and a chaotic situation all over the globe. We just really have to contrast those two visions and those two records of accomplishment. I think if we do that, the American people are going to give Donald Trump another chance.
Saying they don't need to stop her momentum. They just really need to bring a contrast. Is that how you see it, or do they need to do both?
I mean, I think the momentum is going to be what the momentum will be. To Ashley's point, Democrats are excited. They were nervous about the possibility of losing in November. So I'm not surprised that a significant number have sort of come home because Vice President Harris has invigorated them. But it's the folks in the middle that I think both candidates will have to appeal to. David Chalian talked about the economy being the number one issue, where the former president leads by, I believe he said, 9 points. And so if you're talking to those folks in the middle, what is the restorative effort that you're affirmatively speaking, forward-looking about in terms of increasing pay? Ashley talked about some of these issues. I think Republicans do have a great opportunity to talk about the fact that Republicans understand the importance of the family, generally speaking. And we want dads to be proud, to be able to provide for their families. We're seeing that gap, the gender gap, because a lot of men, for example, do not feel that their needs have been addressed appropriately. I think there are a lot of Americans, particularly those of color who are younger, who believe, you know what, I've voted one particular way for a very long time. I was promised certain things over the last 3.5 years, and nothing has happened. So I'm at a minimum interested in hearing a different message. And so Republicans need to make appeals to those individuals.
That's your Michael Singleton. And yeah, he's a Republican strategist, but there wasn't anything partisan in that. That was very, very good. And strangely, it happened on CNN. Incredibly, in fact. You know, CNN is rife with a lot of people trying to say the right thing politically. And as we've seen with good and bad politicians, that is a very difficult skill to master. And I have to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not interested in news people mastering it because they should be dealing in truth. And that is all. And so Mr. Shermichael Singleton, without being partisan, pointed out, hey, there's this group in the middle, and it is comprised of all kinds. And the Republican Party needs to reach out to that. So does the Democrat Party. But at some point, somebody's got to connect actual work, actual products from these political parties to the reality in which they live. The willingness to listen to the word joy. My goodness, Kamala Harris brings joy to the race. Okay, but how's that going to lower my price for a loaf of bread? How's it going to lower the amount of money I spend on filling my gas tank? These are all incredibly important things. And it does take clear-eyed analysis and straightforward thinking that is bereft of trying to defy gravity, avoid the media, not talk about these issues. Yes, I understand why they're doing it, because they have, I'm talking about the Democrat Party and Kamala Harris, they have real problems here. But they have to have real solutions. And they back themselves into a corner because in order for them to provide real solutions, they have to first admit that the solutions that they've already presented were wrong, and they're stuck. They're stuck. But what the media has to do is has to start telling the truth. They just absolutely do. And that is something that they have certain degrees of success with. Yesterday, I was talking about how the media, let me hit that one more time. I was talking about how the media can pick and choose. They are the gatekeepers of what you hear and see. And if indeed that gate is modulated by political ideologies, then you're seeing basically a stenography service or a propaganda outfit. And USA Today has fallen into that trap. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance caught many Philadelphians off guard when the Republican vice presidential nominee went to a popular cheesesteak spot and asked why they hated Swiss cheese. Vance made the stop at Pat's King of Steaks on Monday during his trip to North Philadelphia, where he spoke to a small crowd of supporters in the warehouse of a medical waste management company. When he got to the restaurant, he questioned workers about why they were so selective about their cheeses. I don't like Swiss cheese either, said the Republican vice presidential nominee through the window to several employees at the cheesesteak shop. This, according to CBS News. But everyone says it's insulting. Why do you guys hate it so much? What's the story? An employee of Pat's replied to Vance saying, "We don't hate it, we just don't use it." Vance ended up ordering Whiz Wit, which is actually Whiz With, which is cheesesteak with cheese whiz and fried onions. The candidate then signed photographs or autographs for people lined up around the restaurant, took photos with employees. This is what USA Today thinks. This was on their front page. They're talking about an interaction at a cheesesteak restaurant in Philadelphia with a vice presidential candidate. You know what? Just like I said, joy is not a campaign issue. Donald Trump is not a campaign issue. The economy, the border, energy. All of these things are serious campaign issues. J.D. Vance at a cheesesteak restaurant is not a serious issue. Now, can there be lighthearted things? Sure, by all means, lighthearted things. I don't have any problem with any of that, okay? I think that's fine. I mean, George W. Bush went to a Philly cheesesteak restaurant, ordered a cheese whiz with. And there you go. Okay, I've done it myself. I've been in Philadelphia. I've been at that exact restaurant and ordered a Philly cheesesteak sandwich, but I did not have cheese whiz. And the reason I did not have cheese whiz is because it is something I've never been able to get over since my dad, who would drive thousands of miles, maybe even millions of miles during a single day, while all of us were starving to death and trying to pee someplace that didn't mess up the entire car, would hand us crackers and Cheese Whiz. And yeah, if you're hungry enough, crackers and Cheese Whiz works fine. But nobody is actually that hungry. So I don't use Cheese Whiz ever. But anyway, so yeah, lightheartedness. Okay. But at this particular moment, what are you substituting column inches, that's a newspaper term, of actual news reporting on J.D. Vance? What are you setting aside to talk about a conversation that is meaningless regarding the cheeses used at a Philly cheesesteak restaurant? What are you using that story to submerge something else with? That is propaganda. That is propaganda. And sorting through all that stuff, yeah, it's a full-time job. It absolutely is. It's as tough a job as I've ever done. And that's a fact. Getting elsewhere in the news, so let's get back to some real stuff. Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy's running mate, Nicole Shanahan, said her campaign is considering dropping out and supporting former President Donald Trump to avoid a Kamala Harris presidency. Quote, "We are taking a very serious look at making sure that the people who have corrupted our fair and free democracy do not end up in office." She said this on an episode of the Impact Theory podcast, posted, I guess it was yesterday. The entrepreneur and attorney admitted there were two paths for the RFK campaign to go down: one, to stay in the race and create more legitimacy for independent presidential candidates, or to suspend its run and endorse Trump, which would give him the lift he needs to beat Harris in November. Is the risk of a Harris-Walz presidency worth us staying in, she asked podcast host Tim Bilyeu. The tech entrepreneur discussed claims that Kennedy is a spoiler candidate, telling the host that she's put tens of millions of dollars into the campaign to win the presidency. "We did not want to be a spoiler. We wanted to win. We wanted a fair shot." Note the past tense. However, she now accuses the DNC, the Democrat National Committee, of sabotage. They've banned us, shadow banned us, kept us off stages, manipulated polls, using lawfare against us, sued in every possible state. They planted insiders in the campaign to disrupt it and create legal issues for us. A former Democrat donor, she said she is so disappointed she ever helped the Democrat Party. And this is an important point. I talk about real Democrats versus progressives. I talk about how the Democrat Party is in the jaws of this progressive yapping clan of people trying to do their absolute dead level best to change America into a socialist country. It's damaging the Democrat Party. It is. It's damaging the Democrat Party, and I keep pointing this out. I'm not a fan of political parties in the first place, but I am less a fan of the Democrat Party than I am the Republican one, and that's a big statement. You really got to screw up pretty badly for me to have less regard for you than the Republican Party. But what I can tell you is this. When you have a mega donor Democrat that is somebody who has supported the party with hard cash for years, saying that she is sorry that she ever donated Democrat causes, that tells you something that needs to be heard. Had the Democrat Party decided to abandon Joe Biden months earlier and tried to do something with Robert F. Kennedy, this would be a close race. The polling would be more valid. But no, this paper mache and smoke and mirrors campaign that Kamala Harris is running is managing to succeed in spite of defying gravity and reality at the same time. And it tells you something about the Democrat Party. They are more interested in style over substance. They're more interested in the appearance of something as opposed to the reality of something. They believe that their political power is more important than the reality that it causes. And that is just plain dang dangerous. Don't you agree? 81, and it's not just Democrats. It can be Republicans too. This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells, back with more as we continue on this Wednesday morning.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Telephone number is 817-379-2172. You can call me on the telephone or you can go to the chat room. Arthur Davenport is a dear friend of mine. We went to high school together. He says, I think far too many are focused on what someone will do for them instead of taking action to improve their own situation. Evoking a famous line by John F. Kennedy, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Arthur and I differ on politics. He calls himself an independent now, which means I'm winning because I'm an independent. And it's like when we started, Art was a Democrat, but he was a real Democrat, hence what he's saying here. There's too much blame gaming and name calling going on. In this little slice of conservative thought. One need not wait long for example of baseless insults. As an independent, Trump's shtick is old, boring, and not interesting. The Republicans have the wrong person running to win the next election. Well, okay, how do you feel about Kamala Harris? I'd like to know, Art. That would be That would be cool. Gary Olivier, who before he came to Jesus and moved to Texas, used to live in New York. And what people in Texas don't understand is that anywhere else in the country, if you drive 45 minutes, especially in the Northeast, you can go through 2 or 3 states. It's true. What he says is this. He's answering Alicia, who says, why do they use spray cheese? Well, because it's faster. He was referring to Pat's restaurant in Philly. A lot of places that make Philly cheesesteaks use spray cheese. There was a place called Angelino's. Yeah, Angelo's on Route 1 in Chadds Fork, Pennsylvania, that made great Philly cheesesteaks, and they used spray cans. Yeah. Let's see. The laughing emoji is a classic example of a person with a closed mind. True. Let's see what else. Arthur. Let's see. Wait a minute. Hold it. What do you mean? No, that's not accurate. Inflation and credit cards under socialism. Arthur and I went to separate schools together, said Gary. Arthur, what are you talking about? Did I say something that was not accurate? You know, you could call me Art. 817-379-2172. You could just call me and explain it. That way I wouldn't have to keep waiting for your text to come through. This is simpler. I mean, seriously. We have these. Just saying. All right. There is one other thing. A couple of years ago, I was peacefully minding my own business, sleeping, enjoying my beautiful and wonderful sleep. Everything was fine. And then at 4 o'clock on the dot, this house got hit by lightning. It blew up all the wiring in my living room and beyond. Zorched all my appliances, including a lot of the stuff I did this broadcast with, which has now been replaced. And it was a nightmare. Well, a lot of people say, well, okay, so what was that like? I mean, the only thing that kept me from believing that I wasn't under attack by a rocket-propelled grenade was the fact that I didn't hear that real hard crack that RPGs make. Anyway, it was this big boom. And if you want to know what it's like, let's go to Arizona, where a couple in the middle of the night, 1 a.m., in the middle of the night, having a conversation on their back porch, I think it was a dad and a daughter, got to deal with this.
A late night conversation out in the back porch, interrupted by Mother Nature's work. That's Lisette de la Cruz screaming in the video right after lightning struck a palm tree outside her Santan Valley home.
Hold on a minute. I'm going to start this over again because you got to see this. You got to see this. Check this out.
A late night conversation out in the back porch, interrupted by Mother Nature's work. That's Lisette de la Cruz screaming in the video right after lightning struck a palm tree outside her Santan Valley home and lit it on fire just feet from where she was sitting.
Yeah, that's what we're all thinking.
Her boyfriend, Miguel Olivas Jr., capturing the blast on his phone's camera around 1:30 Sunday morning before he and Lisette ran inside the house, his mind racing.
I had a lot of things going through. I was like, holy moly. It just sounded like fireworks went off just out of the blue, and I got all jumpy.
Lisette says her dad used a hose to douse the tree with water until fire crews showed up to snuff it out. Their fast response stopped the fire from spreading to nearby homes. The palm tree is still standing despite part of the upper trunk burned to a crisp. Charred pieces of the tree made a mess in their yard and in their pool.
Mind blown. Once in a lifetime right there.
It was just a beautiful experience. Well, very frightening at the same time, but yeah, I got a little teary-eyed after because I was just I didn't even know how to react or anything.
Their shock still not wearing off, and every time they watch the video, their adrenaline kicks back in.
I am speechless for that. To me, that's better than a lottery ticket.
Man, yeah, that brought back memories. Fortunately, they weren't sitting on metal chairs. Not that would have mattered. But anyway, boom. That's how it sounds. Except it was a much deeper, richer boom that really frightened me-ish. This has been the Wells Report. My name, John David Wells. Thanks very much for being a part of our broadcast. As I asked, if you find value in this show, please subscribe to it. Tell your friends to subscribe. Share it. Hit the notification button so you know when we change schedules. I try to keep that plain. By the way, tomorrow's broadcast, I think, is going to be on from 11 to 1 p.m. like normal, 11 a.m., 1 p.m. Central. Okay, unless it changes. And if you hit the notification button, then you'll know when it changes. Get my drift? This has been the Wells Report. Thanks for being a part of it. We'll see you again tomorrow. God bless you.